Hey MBA students, welcome to MBA 696. Hope you enjoyed your week off after 695. This course has two objectives and you've already completed one of them. The first objective is to get your IRB application approved. And guess what? That's done. So now you can focus your time and effort on objective number 2, which is writing the research proposal. Now, don't let that sound too overwhelming. The research proposal is simply the first 3 chapters of your research paper. If you remember, your research paper for the living case study is 5 chapters long. Chapter 1 is the introduction. You just completed that in MBA 695. And Chapter 2 is the lit review. Chapter 3 is the methodology section where you describe the method that you're going to use to collect data for your research. Chapter 4 is the data analysis chapter where you present and analyze the data that you collected. And Chapter 5 is the conclusions and recommendations. So, the research proposal is chapters 1, 2, and 3. That's it. It's the introduction, the lit review, and the methodology section. So at the end of this course, you'll have chapters 1, 2, and 3 completed of your research paper. If you looked ahead at the syllabus into week 2, you'll notice the discussion about the theoretical framework, or what is also called the concept map. This is the map that you've already created in MBA 694 and again tweaked it in 695. So don't be confused about that terminology. I think all of you have already created the theoretical framework and put it into Chapter 1. Keep it in Chapter 1, even though the syllabus calls for it to be in Chapter 2. Most of you are now writing to the research template that I sent out weeks ago. Follow that template. And if you haven't jumped into that template, start using it in this class. It'll make life easier and less confusing for you. Here's what I want you to do for Chapter 2. It's pretty simple. So get your theoretical framework in front of you from Chapter 1. What you're seeing now on your screen in this video is one of your classmates' theoretical framework from his Chapter 1. I'm going to walk you through the process of creating Chapter 2, referencing this student's theoretical framework. Look at each of the elements in your own framework. You're going to write a paragraph or 2 for each of the elements in your framework. So in this student's framework, for example, he will construct a paragraph or 2 based on scholarly research for each of the following elements. 1. In the center of his diagram is his research topic. It's about low morale in his department. So this student will find 1 or 2 citations, and you can find more that discuss low morale. Second, he'll go out and he'll research the topic of cultural differences in the workplace and look for connections to low morale. He's trying to find out if cultural differences impact or create an effect on low morale. Next, he's going to go out and research the connection between co-located teams or virtual teams and their impact on low morale, and so forth all the way around to the elements of the framework. Remember, you're establishing the connection or the relationship between your central topic, which is the dependent variable, and the other potential independent variables that are listed on the outside or the periphery of that circle. You may find that the research does not support the connection between your topic and some of those independent variables. So for example, in the process of the research, the students whose framework you're looking at in front of you there, he may find there's no research connection between the cultural differences and low morale. In that case, it's pretty simple. It's okay. Simply modify your theoretical framework to reflect what you are finding. This student may not find a connection between cultural differences and low morale, but he may find that salary and benefits are connected to low morale. If that's the case, just go back to Chapter 1 and modify the theoretical framework figure that you have in there, and then write about that connection you're finding in Chapter 2. The theoretical framework is constantly shifting. It's a work in progress. The central topic does not change, but based on your findings in the research literature, you may need to make adjustments to your framework, and that's okay. Research is messy, it's not always linear, and you have to double back often to correct or change something. So one more time, just to make sure we're on the same page here, you will be writing a paragraph or 2 for each of the elements in your framework. Each paragraph will need to be supported by 1 or 2 scholarly sources supporting your view or your position on that element. The syllabus calls out for a total of 10 research citations for Chapter 2's literature review, so make sure you meet the minimum number. So for this assignment, update Chapter 2 in the template that you've been using all along for your research. And here's what I expect to see by the time you submit week 1 next Sunday. A thorough outline is what I'm looking for. Pick up your lit review draft from MBA693 from a few classes ago now, and start with that to get you going. You do not need to complete Chapter 2 this week. Just get a good outline going in the current writing template that you've been using all along. Any research citations that you add in Chapter 2 should be added to the ever-building list of references in your reference list at the end of the template. 2 quick notes before I forget. First, Chapter 2 is not about your host organization. Don't write about your host organization at all in Chapter 2. In fact, your host organization's name cannot show up in Chapter 2 because it's not about your host organization. Chapter 2 is about what does the current research database of literature say about your topic and those independent variables that are impacting your topic or that you think are impacting your topic. And 2, make sure you're making corrections to the format of your reference section. Most of you have been paying attention to my notes and my embedded comments on the format, and others not so much. But make sure you're paying attention to that format of your citations in the reference section. Okay, I think that's enough for now. Have a great week. Send me an email if you have problems or get confused. Remember, God is on his throne. He's always been there. He always will be.